Hello, thanks for coming. It's amazing that I don't have to speak to an empty room, which I was kind of expecting as being a first speaker, other than the massive opening keynote. So my talk, as you said, is let's put things off-chain. And I would like to tell you a story about how there is more to Web3 than just a blockchain, because now at the opening presentation you also heard that we want to talk a lot about blockchain, and I don't. Well, not completely ignore blockchain, but I want to talk about other things as well. So my name is Vaclav Pavlin, and I work at a company called Institute of Free Technology. There is a project called Logos, and under that project there is a project called Waku. We can talk about these more, and I'll talk about them in the presentation as an examples of these off-chain peer-to-peer technologies. My official role is not a chaos agent, but that's how I'm perceived usually. I just go somewhere, break things, and then leave. But I'm a solution engineer for Waku, so I should help people understand how these things work. So if you don't understand it after this presentation, I'm not good at my job, don't tell my boss, please. Can I get next slide, please? Because Clicker doesn't work. This is done in Fileverse. If you're friends with Fileverse, Clicker doesn't work, tell them. I told them they need to hear it from more people to fix it. So what is this talk about? I'll talk about history of Web3. I'll talk about what I perceive as a present state of Web3, and what I think could or should be the future of Web3. Next slide. So the history. Once upon a time, I walked into a blockchain/crypto Telegram group, and it was full of people that were trading shitcoins, obviously. And I was not really interested in that, but I was curious how it looks inside. And they started asking if there is a developer around so that they could look at the smart contracts and so that they don't get rugged. And I'm like, I'm a developer, but I have no clue about Solidity. And they said, well, you're a developer, you can learn. I'm like, probably. So I learned Solidity and I started doing this kind of auditing for them. That's probably 3-4 years ago. And that was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. Next slide. And I have learned, or I have twisted my brain into thinking everything has to go on chain. It's going to be so awesome. Like, we will live on chain. Everything is going to be on chain. DeFi, decentralized finance, games, anything to earn. You remember Step to Earn or Steppen or like Walk to Earn? I saw a Vape to Earn recently. I think there was something like Masturbate to Earn as well. So like there is anything to earn. That's why the asterisk. Art will be on chain. Our social graphs and social networks will be on chain. It has to be. Also, is it on dash chain or on chain or on space chain? Do you have an opinion on that? I don't, but it's just like nobody knows really. So that was the idea. Like, let's put everything on chain. Like, everything has to live on blockchain. Next slide. And this was also kind of what's the word? Emphasized for me through an article that I read, which, yeah, it's not this slide, but that doesn't matter, called Hyperstructures. It was put up by somebody from Zora, probably familiar with Zora protocol and Zora marketplace, and now chain and all that stuff. But the guy from Zora put up an article about hyperstructures, and hyperstructure is kind of like how you think about blockchain. It is something that is just there, and you just deploy there, and it's there, it works. Like, you don't have to pay for infrastructure. It exists forever, for as long as the blockchain is there. And the application lives without your kind of need to maintain it, to put it in front of people, to pay AWS for the bills and all that stuff. So that's kind of the definition of hyperstructure there. And that's just like amazing architectural shift for me. But then also, Web3, the history of Web3, wanted us to build something else, right? So it was not about putting everything on chain and doing everything on chain, and every single thing that we do does not have to go on chain, because initially this is I took this from the blog post that Vitalik put out a couple, maybe it's even years or months ago, called Let's Make Ethereum Cypherpunk Again. And this is from the original Ethereum white paper, where Ethereum is not just Ethereum blockchain, but Ethereum was supposed to be 3 things, 3 pillars. It's supposed to be consensus, so the compute of the world, storage, which was Swarm. I mean, it still exists, but it's not part of Ethereum really that much. So storage, decentralized, truly decentralized, durable storage, where you can upload stuff and it's just gonna be there for as long as you need it to be there. And then communication, which was called Whisper, which no longer exists. And like that was for the cases where if you want to build a decentralized application, these days you would probably go to AWS and deploy it there, and then every single interaction goes through those servers kind of, right? There is some backend there, and then it goes to blockchain. But we should not have that. There should be a peer-to-peer network that just works and we communicate directly. That's what this whole narrative was about initially, the Web3, the 3 pillars of the future of the internet. Next slide, please. So from my perspective, a truly decentralized application needs exactly what was shown there. So there has to be communication. We need components and users to be able to exchange the state of an application or some interaction quickly, permissionlessly, and in a way that cannot be censored. We also need to store the data because some state cannot be just communicated between people. It needs to be stored somewhere off the devices. Maybe it's a backup to prevent loss, or just to improve access to the data, right? If I have to ask every one of you to send me your latest change to some application, it will be slow, but if we can all collectively put it somewhere that is cheap and fast, then we can have that scalability. And then registry, which is for me the consensus, the blockchain, the ledger. Some pieces of the information need to be persisted, like with the data storage, but they are smaller and they get updated often or quickly, and there has to be consensus about this. So if I change something, there has to be a trace and provenance of who updated after me and before me, and that's what blockchains are for. And then encryption. Every decentralized app needs a good encryption, but it's not just that end-to-end encrypted between two users, but everything has to have some kind of keys, and they need to be managed, and the access has to be controlled to the data and all these things. So it's not very straightforward. But if you look at current state of Ethereum, that's not where we are, right? We have everything publicly on the blockchain, and then a bunch of L2s that are cheaper and faster, right? So next slide, please, if I have the person there. So this is how you can build a decentralized application, and I am very biased. There's a disclaimer. I'm biased of this stack because that's what I work with, that's what I develop, and I'm paid to do that as well, so that's why I talk about these things. But maybe there are better and other options for these pillars of Web3, and you're free to choose whatever you want, and you're free to contribute and change these, and you're also free to disagree with me, right? I am happy to argue about these things with you. But basically what I want to show is the original picture of the Web3 with the 3 pillars. We have them here as well. So Nomos as a consensus, Codex as a storage, and Waku as communication. So, and this is Logos. This is kind of the umbrella of these, trying to put to the front the idea of network states, how we think they should be done. Can I get the next slide, please? But that's the future version of the present. The current version is different because the Nomos part, the blockchain is not done yet, and then also it's missing the encryption. So I've created this new version, this more current version, where we have status network, which is a gasless layer 2 that we are going to launch next year. It's in testnet right now. So that's going to work there. And this is a logo of Taco, which is a threshold access control. A very cool project. I'm not biased because I'm not affiliated with them. This is unbiased opinion. Very cool project for access control in general, but also very much in Web3. And you can use it with storage or you can use it with communication. And I'll explain more of these. So can I get the next slide? I don't remember what is there, sorry. I forgot. This calling the next slide is hard. So right now, the challenges, or one of the challenges that I perceive in Web3 space, and that's kind of another part of my pet peeve with how we do things in Web3. We have trained the next generation of Web3 developers on accessing a peer-to-peer network through a JSON RPC endpoint, so like a REST API or like an HTTP endpoint. What does that to people is that they assume that there is a database that they can query for some state, but that's not how peer-to-peer networks work. You connect to a peer-to-peer network, and then you can interact with other peers in that network. And there is usually not a single source of truth, and you need to kind of do a lot of things locally. But we have abstracted blockchain through Infura and other node providers, that there is a node that knows it all, right? And that's not usually the case. So that's, I think, very problematic. And that's also what I am trying to explain in the future slides. So next slide, please. So let's take a look at a DApp that I have built as an example. And it's a DApp with the capital D, where the D actually is decentralized. And there is no central server, and there is no kind of a way to prevent you from using the app. So next slide, please. So the application is called Qaku. It's a Q&A. So you were supposed to scan the QR code to ask questions. This is very similar type of app. You can go to qaku.app. I wanted to show you a demo, but apparently I did not read the emails right, so I can't show you the demo. But normally I would click on this, and there would be a UI where you could go and create a Q&A. So I'll just talk about it. Can I get next slide? So this is how it will look like, because this is a new UI that we made, and there is still an old, ugly UI that I made on that URL, so don't get confused. But basically, the idea is very simple. You create a Q&A when people can ask questions. You have a unique link where you can go, and it will pull some historical questions and upvotes and all these states, all this information, and display the state. Now, how it works is that you connect to a Waku network. Waku is successor of Whisper. In that diagram of the three projects, the three pillars, communication, storage, and consensus, that's the communication. So you open the browser, and it connects to Waku network. And if there are other people using Qaku, the Q&A app, they will basically talk to each other directly over the network rather than going through some centralized server. And Waku is a peer-to-peer network. It just cares about sending bytes around. It does not care about what the bytes are. There are some features that prevent spam, that make sure that you can disconnect and connect back and query some history and all these things, but I'm not going to go too deep into those details. So that's one part. We have Waku as a transport layer for this application, where you can communicate directly, basically, with other participants in the Q&A, rather than going through some centralized server and database. Second part of that is Codex, which is a decentralized storage. Okay, I have 8 minutes. That's what you're showing me. Perfect, thank you. I was not sure. It was quite small. Codex is a decentralized storage. So Waku is ephemeral. Waku you will send a message, it will be there in the network for a while, but then it will disappear. Codex is a persistent storage. So if I want to access some old Q&A, it has to be in a persistent storage, because the ephemeral storage will lose it. So I will push the state, I will snapshot the state and push it to Codex, and then basically just announce the CID of that state in the application, so that the future users can come and see that CID and load it from the storage network. So that's the second pillar. And then we have third pillar. So for example, we have Connect Wallet here. It's not very well visible, but Connect Wallet. So you can reclaim your identity through like ENS or potentially other identity systems if you want to show who you are, or you can stay completely anonymous. And that's kind of where the blockchain comes in, because blockchains are pretty good for identity. You can have ENS, you can have a zero-knowledge proof of humanity, like Radimo is working on, and all these things. And then when you combine that, you can have some trust networks like circles, and you can combine it, you can have some kind of unique identity that you can use for your applications. Next slide, please. So this is the architecture. I have decided to do a very professional architecture diagram. So this is Qaku, obviously. There is some swag in the bag when you will be leaving. There are some like Qaku earrings and coasters and stuff like that, so please take them. This is Codex, that's the storage node, and this is Waku, the snowflake kind of shaped thing. And how it works is that a user accesses Qaku, and it can be hosted somewhere on Vercel or whatever is the hosting platform you want to use, or you can just run it locally in your laptop. And then you communicate over Waku with other users, and you kind of collect the state locally. And if you, what I described, if you want to snapshot the state, you can push it to Codex, and then they can communicate directly. Or there is caching codex node provided, which can make sure that the data stay around longer and are accessible to other people connecting in the future. Next slide, please. So that is basically how I think the decentralized application should be developed, with actual peer-to-peer networks in mind. But there is more, kind of. So what I think about future is that the future has to be local first. We have started local with the origins of internet. Like everything was running on your laptop, sorry, probably not on your laptop when the starts of internet, but on some machine under your desk or on your desk. And then we progressively went towards running everything on someone else's computer called cloud. But now we are realizing that maybe that was not the best thing for privacy and for censorship resistant. We are pushing back to going back to local first, going back to our computers, doing the actual compute. We also have much more powerful computers, so it should be very easy to do it, unless all the compute is consumed by browsers and stuff like that. So we should focus on local first. You can, if you Google it up, there is a website about local first. There are conferences and all these things. Now, future is peer-to-peer in my mind, and it's not just about DeFi and like doing peer-to-peer transactions, but it's about every single thing I do online, I should have it locally, and then I should just exchange with people that care, that I want to show this to, what they need to see, and that's where privacy comes in as well. The future is encrypted as well. We know cypherpunks were all about encryption, and that is how it solves a lot of privacy issues, but it's not the only thing. The future should be permissionless. Nobody should be able to prevent you from using infrastructure and from using services and applications, right? If the application, we recorded a podcast with Alina today, and a big chunk of that was discussing like, so if I upload data to Dropbox, is it my data or is it Dropbox's data, or can Dropbox prevent me from downloading it back, right? I mean, they can, obviously. So then it's not permissionless and it's not censorship resistant. And the future should be permissionless and it should be censorship resistant, so you should have control over your data and over accessing the infrastructure. Future should be private by default. We talk about privacy, and I realize that like nobody cares from the perspective of nobody knows what it means. If you say like you need privacy, like it's very hard to imagine what does it actually mean. Like, it's intangible. If I tell you, you want to use censorship-resistant software, you'd be like, oh yeah, I probably do want to use software that cannot prevent me from using it, right? Like, if I post on Facebook, I want to post on Facebook. If I post on Facebook, I want others to see my post. And if they can't see it, if Facebook tells them no, then it's censorship, right? It's not censorship resistant. So it's much more tangible for people. If I say you should have privacy, they'd be like, yeah, sure, but what about the bad guys? Yeah, well, they also want privacy, but from different reasons. But it's very hard to grasp why it's important. And the future should be provable now with like all the ZK stuff, zero knowledge technologies being pushed to the front and also being much more efficient. We should be able to prove a lot of information and a lot of state about ourselves. Yeah, I think I have one last slide. So actually 2 slides. You can go to forum.logos.co, where we post our work and our ideas and our stuff and our discussions. So please go and take a look at what we have built, and please let us know what you want to see built. If you want to see something built that should be decentralized, or if you have an application and want to discuss with us, like how can you decentralize it further and better, please come talk to us. And next slide has actually a QR code, because we love QR codes. And that's for our Discord. I know we should not be using Discord. Discord is not decentralized and permissionless. We're working on that, but right now that's where we are. So please join our Discord. It would be amazing to have a chat with you if you have thoughts about this presentation in our Discord or anywhere else. Just find me. Yeah, that's it. If you have questions, I'll maybe answer them. Do you see Qaku as a model for other big D apps? What kinds of applications are best suited for this architecture? Very nice question. Yes, I do see Qaku as a model. We have actually we have actually modeled some changes in other applications, like if you heard about Status as a messenger and a wallet, it uses Waku as a communication layer. But if you send a big file, then it's hard to propagate it over Waku because Waku is not designed for large data. So we're basically using the similar model for Qaku. For Status as in Qaku to offload stuff to Codex and then send the CID around. But there is more. What kinds of applications? We are also experimenting with something like Google Forms, something like a 4chan. I've built very simplified POC for a streaming platform on top of Waku and Codex. It's all on that forum link that I've showed. So there is a lot of applications that you can build with this infrastructure. Top 3 things that should absolutely not put on chain. Go. Porn. I think it's one. I was actually part of a porn-related project, and nobody bought any of those things. And I think it was because of the privacy issues of blockchain, because nobody wanted to be seen buying porn NFTs. So what should not be put on chain? Well, ideally, your financial stuff shouldn't be publicly visible on chain. It's not the case right now. Big data. I don't think that big data should be put on chain because we don't want every single node having any big data. We want to keep that small and succinct. Yeah, I can't think about the third thing. I'll think about it later. And then usually fully decentralized app has worse UX compared to more centralized ones. Do you think regular users care about decentralization enough? Or so you think they value UX way more? I don't think that we should compromise on UX. I think it's obviously always there is a trade-off. There are always trade-offs. But I think we are relatively close to be able to go with reasonably good UX for decentralized apps. And the question, do regular users care about decentralization? I have a problem with the word decentralization. I use it a lot, but I have a problem with that because it means different things to different people. And so what I talk about is permissionless, censorship resistant, and private. And I think that's what people should care about.